we have seen just some of the great things that Archway Communities is doing, and we thought we have to find out more. It's just incredible what, as a nonprofit housing provider, Archway has been able to do, and not just in providing affordable housing, but also all of these supportive services that go with it. And so we wanted to start just by asking you how that even came to be, where it transitioned into something just, I guess, more holistic for the residents that you have.
Sure. So yeah, we were founded in the early 90s, and our two founders, David Nestor and Rob Lapp, they were really interested in issues around just creating, more equity and justice for people in their communities. And they decided that a housing organization was really one of the ways that they could do that, to bring more diversity and equity into their neighborhoods, knowing that housing is such a essential need, but also can be really hard to obtain. So once they started the housing organization, or Archway, it became very apparent very quickly that just giving people a roof over their head wasn't enough to help people meet their goals. So through that, they started the supportive services program, actually directly based on resident feedback that affordable housing was an essential component that everybody in the community needed, but it wasn't enough. And that's really where Archway blossomed, in providing affordable housing, supportive services, and food security that people need to meet their goals.
That's
And here we are.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think of, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So you have a roof over your head. What else do you need? Food. So you have, incredible number of food banks that really support the residents as well. And it seems like donation based. So I'd love to hear a little bit about those efforts as well, with specifically the food and maybe some of the other kind of services that you're providing.
Absolutely. So we really feel like the supportive services program is the cornerstone of what makes Archway work, right? So, and food security is a huge part of that. So we do a annual community needs assessment across our portfolio. Currently, we have 9 properties. Almost all of them are in Metro Denver, though we do have one in El Paso County. And in talking to our residents and getting feedback from them on what their highest needs are, food security is always at the top of that list. So we implemented our no cost food programming really when the supportive services program came to be. And you're correct, a lot of it is via donations. We work really closely with Food Bank of the Rockies up here in the Denver area, and Care and Share down in the Colorado Springs area. So we rely a lot on those donations. We rely on other donations that come in, and through other partnerships that we have as well. And as much as we rely on food banks for our no-cost food programming, it doesn't always meet all of the needs of our residents. We serve an incredibly diverse population, so we want to make sure that we're meeting everybody's dietary needs, whether it's for cultural purposes, just regular dietary restrictions. So often each property will purchase additional food to supplement the food bank offerings. So making sure that there's fresh vegetables, shelf stable items, protein, dairy, bread, all of those things. So we do, rely on philanthropy and philanthropic dollars to help fill that gap.
That's great. And I read also that a couple of your communities are senior living communities now. So, how is that different, and what are the needs there for that demographic?
Yeah, we found that across our portfolio, the needs of our residents really vary. So you're absolutely correct. We have 2 properties that just serve older adults, 62 and older. These are older adults that are living independently, but as you can imagine, their needs are completely different than a family property. So that's where that community needs assessment comes into play, and
Mhm.
it's so vital and essential because we can really hone in on what those needs are. So as an example, at our older adult properties, there's, let's see, like older adult financial literacy is something that we do, gardening, access to transportation, linkages to healthcare and mental health care. Those are just a snapshot of some of the things that are really important. In addition, decreasing depression, isolation, and loneliness is something that we
Mm.
see across all of our properties, but in particular at our older adult communities. So just building that sense of community, having coffee meetings or community get-togethers where folks can come together and learn about benefits, or a book club or something like that, just where people can come together and get to know their neighbors, really makes a big difference in decreasing, incidences of depression, isolation, and loneliness.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So meeting those basic needs and then community as part of that as well. So actually, one of the ways that we found out about Archway was through the Wealth Creation Fund, which you are an inaugural participant in. It's fascinating. Our assistant editor picked up on that story, and I'd love for you to explain what it is. And I mean, it seems to be just so innovative and fascinating to help renters build wealth. Could you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, it's always top of mind for us that we want to be doing anything and everything that we can to help our residents meet their goals. And I think, as we all know, one of the greatest drivers of wealth creation in our country is homeownership. And unfortunately, that's out of reach for a lot of the folks that live in our
Mhm.
properties, and not just the folks that live in our properties. That's out of reach for a lot of people as the housing crisis grows. So we were approached by this opportunity through our partners at Enterprise Community Partners. They are a national affordable housing organization that supports organizations like Archway across the country. And they have been some of the biggest proponents and supporters of Archway's work over our existence. So when they approached us with this opportunity, we were really excited to be the inaugural participants in this really innovative fund that gives our residents opportunities to build wealth. So we have two properties in Arvada, Sheridan Ridge and Willow Green townhomes. They were constructed in 2003 and 2005, and incorporates 125 townhomes spread across 13 residential buildings. So how it works is that renters will get cash back when they pay their rent on time. And it's really up to renters what they want to do with that, whether they can use it to grow their savings, pay down debts, or really, maybe they want to put it toward eventual homeownership. But these savings, this cash back program is being distributed and managed through another organization called Stake. It's a mobile app that allows the transfer of these reimbursements. And this cash back component was actually created based on feedback collected during the Renter Wealth Creation Fund design that Enterprise oversaw. Because really, it's no surprise that people need a little bit more money in their pocket to be able to meet their financial goals.
Yeah.
And then the other component of it is that long-term residents will have the chance of sharing in the appreciation of the property. So
Mm.
renters may be eligible to receive a share of profits when and if the property is ever sold or refinanced. So much like home equity, the shared appreciation will give residents of those two properties the opportunity to create some additional wealth. But
That's
we are just
incredible.
so excited to partner with Enterprise on this project.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I mean, it is true. Homeownership is out of reach for so many Americans today. We are becoming a renter nation. So any solutions to really help people to just, excel and really have the American dream, this is definitely one way to help them do that. And I'm sure those residents appreciate that. I'm sure your retention rates are probably quite high. You probably have some wait lists for that. What does that process look like?
Yeah, in terms of getting people enrolled in the program, or
Yeah.
managing the
Well,
interest of people wanting to live there?
yeah, both. So, what's the retention rate? So I'm sure it's high. And then also, how do you get new people in? I mean, it seems like you're constantly going to be adding properties. Is that sort of the way that you'll provide that additional, I guess, housing and inventory for more people to get in the program?
Sure. So this particular program, the Renter Wealth Creation Fund, is exclusive to our two properties in Arvada, Sheridan
Mm.
Ridge and Willow Green. And you are correct, the retention at those properties is really high, and we do maintain a wait list. But Enterprise and Stake have been not just great partners in the creation of this fund, but have been really, really amazing partners in helping us roll it out in the communication to residents and
Mm.
answering their questions. Because, I'm sure you can imagine you've been living in your townhome for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden there's this new program. And so there's been a lot of questions, but overall, it's been a really positive experience. And like I said, Stake and Enterprise have just been such essential and valuable partners in that process. So we have on-site property management and on-site service coordinators who will continue to be at those properties, and we'll continue to maintain our wait list as vacancies become available, and then getting new folks in who can be a part of this program. Archway is continually evolving and growing. We're getting ready to open some new properties later this year. We've purchased 4 dormitories on the former Johnson and Wales campus, which is now called the
Nice.
Mosaic Community Campus. So that's 154 units that'll be coming online this summer. And then we have quite a few other projects in the pipeline as well. So Archway will continue to grow, and we'll continue to look for unique partnerships and opportunities like the Renter Wealth Creation Fund to continue to support our residents.
I love that. I'm excited to see what you'll do in the future. Already so much accomplished. It's incredible how many lives have been impacted by Archway over the years. And it's just so exciting to see this type of housing. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to talk. But before I let you go, I do want to talk a little bit about your background, because I did read your bio that you have experience in Los Angeles, which is where I live. And unfortunately, the homeless community and the homeless issues here are continuously growing. I know you were involved in some organizations that helped with that over the years prior to being with Archway. And I'm curious, like, are there any programs like that in Los Angeles or anywhere else in the country? Do you see this as maybe a way to maybe spread out beyond just Colorado? Like, have you talked to any other areas or any other housing providers in other maybe Los Angeles areas where it's really, I feel like it could really help something like this?
Absolutely. And, California is interesting. As you well know, the homeless issue and the housing crisis are so acute in California, especially Southern California and Los Angeles. And, I think California, there are so many innovative programs to support people with housing insecurity or people experiencing homelessness. But the need is also so high. So I think there's
Yeah.
absolutely opportunity for programs like the Renter Wealth Creation Fund to come into markets like Los Angeles. I know Enterprise does work very prolifically in LA in
Okay.
the affordable housing market. So I know they're looking to expand this program. And, I obviously am biased and have some roots in LA. So I certainly hope that it moves in that direction. But there's a lot of innovative people with good solutions who are really trying to solve these problems. So it's I hope to see more innovative programs like this come to California and other places in the country.
Yeah, I as well. You're certainly setting the example for it. You've done great work in raising funds for Archway, and Archway is really a great model of what's possible when you involve, the whole community and also a holistic approach to housing that isn't just the roof over the head, that it's also the food, the community, jobs, all the things that factor in that I think ultimately also help with people's mental health, and that can be a gateway to just really getting out of where they may be stuck for so long. There's so many pieces I feel that are necessary for that to happen, and I love that you all are addressing all of those pieces together, not just one or two. So kudos to you and to the team at Archway. I'm really glad we got to learn a little bit more about it. And I'm excited to share this with our members as well. They're all housing providers. I think some of them might be involved in, accepting housing vouchers in Section 8, but to be able to see this, in a different perspective, I think is going to be really helpful for them. So thank you so much for sharing everything today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk. And anyone interested in learning more can always visit our website, which is archwaycommunities.org.
Yeah, and that was my final question, was how we can get involved. So, if someone did want to donate, would that be the best place for them to go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. communities.org and to our donate page. And we always, of course, appreciate any support because it goes right back into our supportive services program.
That's amazing. Okay, well, we'll be sure to post a link to that. And thank you so much, Georgeanne, for doing this interview. And hopefully we can chat some other time. Thank you again.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Have a great day.